So OpenAI just announced something new.
And it's not one model, it's three. Sol, the new flagship. Terra, the balanced one for everyday work, and Luna, the cheapest of the family. I read everything OpenAI published, so you don't have to. And here's the real story. This launch is less about raw intelligence and all about what every single token costs you. Quick decoder ring because OpenAI finally fixed their naming. The number is the generation. Sol, Terra, and Luna are permanent capability tiers that can ship on their own schedule. So when a 5.7 Luna drops next year, you'll know exactly what it is before you read a word. Here's the rate card. Sol runs $5 in, 30 out per million tokens. Terra is 250 in, 15 out, and Luna $1 in, 6 out. Caching also got more predictable. Explicit cache breakpoints, a 30-minute minimum cache life, and cache reads keep the 90% discount.
Three things stood out to me.
Thing 1. Performance per dollar. Every chart in this launch is plotted against cost, and that is not an accident. The whole pitch is more finished work from every token you pay for. Start with agents. On Agents last exam, long-running professional workflows across 55 different fields, Sol scores 52.7. Claude's Fable 5 sits at 40.5. That's a 12-point gap on the benchmark OpenAI clearly cares most about. And the wild part, they claim Terra and Luna beat Fable at around 1/16th of the cost. Coding is the headline number. Sol sets a new state of the art on the artificial analysis coding agent index at 80, about 3 points above Fable 5. But read the fine print because that's where the story is. It does it with less than half the output tokens in less than half the time at about a third less cost. And Luna, the budget model, outscores Opus 4.8. Now, before you cancel your Anthropic account, it is not a clean sweep. On CW Bench Pro, Fable 5 still crushes it 80% against Sol's 64.5. And on the overall Artificial Analysis Intelligence Index, Fable is still number one by exactly 1 point. So the honest headline isn't smartest model ever, it's nearly the same brains, delivered way faster and way cheaper.
But wait, it gets better.
Thing 2. Capability on demand. Because the second lever in this launch isn't a smarter model, it's a dial that lets you buy more thinking exactly when the job is hard. There's a new max reasoning effort that gives Sol even more time to think than XI, and above that sits a brand new mode called Ultra. Ultra doesn't just think harder, it coordinates 4 agents in parallel by default, and OpenAI showed configurations running 16. Same task split across parallel workstreams, finished faster, and Ultra moves real numbers. Terminal bench 2.1 climbs to 91.9, a record. Browse comp, agentic web research hits 92.2, also a record. And developers get the same trick through a multi-agent beta in the responses API, so you can build that fan out pattern into your own products. My favorite feature for builders is quieter than all of that. Programmatic tool calling. Instead of ping-ponging every tool response back through the model, GPT 5.6 writes a small program that calls your tools in memory, filters the noise, keeps only what matters, and decides the next step as work unfolds. Fewer round trips, fewer tokens. If you build agents or automations that hammer tools all day, this is the one you'll actually feel.
Benchmarks are one thing. This feels different.
Thing 3. The polish. This is the part you can actually see because the model doesn't just generate work anymore. It looks at its own output and fixes it before handing it back. This is OpenAI's own example, and it's the most convincing thing in the whole post. Same brief, Update a deck using a reference file. GPT 5.5 drops key components from the master slide. GPT 5.6 reads the deck's whole design system, layouts, typography, spacing, even rules buried in the slide master, and applies them to the new material. Stronger computer use means it renders the result, inspects it, and applies finishing touches before you ever see it. And it's not just OpenAI saying it. Lovable reports it builds production apps with roughly a quarter fewer steps and up to 48% fewer tool calls with 15% fewer stock runs. Cursor calls it one of the strongest models they've tested. Canva, Figma, Notion, Shopify, and Microsoft are all on the early tester list. One quick flag before the fun part. Cyber capability jumped hard this generation. Exploit bench went from 48 to 73%. So OpenAI shipped its heaviest safeguards ever alongside it, blocking roughly 10 times more risky activity, with the most sensitive capabilities gated behind verified access. Science moved too. Genebench more than doubled. This is why the launch had a government-coordinated preview first. So where do you actually get it? The rollout started the same day and completes inside 24 hours. In the chat app, Plus and UpGet Sol, Codex lets you pick any of the three and set a reasoning effort per model with Ultra on paid plans. The API gets all three plus the multi-agent beta. And later this month, Sol lands on Cerebras at up to 750 tokens per second.
I'm building ApexAPI so you can use any model from one place. Link below.
All three went live on ApexAPI on day one. Sol, Terra, and Luna with the full million token context, sitting right next to Claude, Gemini, and 125 other models. One key, one dashboard, and you see exactly what every call costs. So a launch like this is a drop-down change in your stack, not a migration. ApexAPI.dev, link below, back to the verdict. So which one do you actually run? My take after reading all of it. Sol for the long, hard agent work, deep research, big refactors, anything with design taste involved. Terra as the daily driver, it matches last generation's flagship at half the price. And Luna is the sleeper of this launch. It outcodes Opus 418 at a fraction of the cost, which makes it absurd value for high volume pipelines. Zoom out for a second. Every lab is now selling the same sentence. More finished work per token. Fable is still the smartest. GPT 5.6 is now the most efficient. And the gap at the very top keeps shrinking toward zero, which means the winners of this year aren't the people with the best model. They're the people whose systems can swap models the same day something better drops.
That's the update. Follow so you don't miss the next one.
If this saved you a 5,000 word blog post, you know what to do. See you in the next one.